inviting me to speak with you tonight. I don't know if you know this, he's not only your pastor, but he's the mayor of Auburn. Did you know that? And he's also the Grand Poobah of the Auburn Mall, so treat him with great respect. I first became acquainted with the North American Martyrs, who are also called the Canadian Martyrs, when I first entered the seminary around the time of the Council of Trent, long before your pastor and even some of you were born. I was assigned to teach in the religious education program at St. Isaac Jogues Parish in the Archdiocese of Hartford. It was in that parish that I first learned about the North American Martyrs and the struggle to bring the Catholic faith to North America. Tonight I want to speak to you about St. Noel Chabanal, one of the North American martyrs. Noel Chabanal was born February 2nd, 1613, in Toulouse, France. He entered the Jesuit novitiate at Toulouse at the age of 17, eventually became a professor of rhetoric at several Jesuit colleges. He was highly esteemed for his intelligence, his virtue, and his learning. In 1643, he was sent to New France in North America, along with two other priests, Fathers Leonard Garreau and Gabriel Dusselettes. Although he studied the Algonquin language for a time, he never made much headway. He was eventually appointed to the mission at Sainte Marie. In his priestly ministry, he was the companion of Father Charles Grenier. As he felt a strong repugnance to the life and habits of the Huron, and he feared it might result in him withdrawing from his work, he decided to bind himself by a vow never to leave the mission except under obedience. Chabanal was sent to assist Father John LeBruff at the mission of St. Louis, near the present-day village of Victoria Harbor, but he was replaced in February 1649 by a priest by the name of Gabriel Lallemant. Chabanal was sent to help Father Charles Grenier among the Putin nation. 1 month later, Brebeuf and Lallemant were captured in an Iroquois raid on the St. Louis mission, and they were taken to a nearby mission at St. Mace, where they were killed. After the death of Brebeuf and Lallemant, the Jesuits decided to abandon St. Marie among the Hurons, and they burned the mission rather than risk it being desecrated or taken over by the Iroquois. In early December 1649, Chabanal was directed to go to St. Joseph Island on what later became Lake Huron. Chabanal was martyred on December 8, 1649, by what is described as a renegade Huron. There was a strong presumption that he was killed by a man who offered to carry him across the lake to St. Joseph Island. Father Joseph Ragueneau, the provincial superior of the Jesuits, noted that the man whose name was Howadena was known to have believed and spread a false rumor. The French had betrayed the Huron and made a secret treaty with the Iroquois, and later admitted killing Chabanal. Chabanal was canonized by Pope Pius XI on June 29, 1930, as were the other North American martyrs we honor during this novena. Among the many things that struck me about the North American martyrs is the incredible strength of their faith and their love for Christ and His church. They were willing to risk everything, maiming, torture, and death as missionaries to bring the Catholic faith to the Huron nation, the Iroquois, the Algonquin Indian nations. Chabanal was repulsed by what he experienced in his missionary work among the Hurons, made a vow to never leave the mission to which he was assigned, except by obedience, because he was so committed to the important, the critical mission to spread the gospel, he completely believed he was called to by Jesus Christ. Today we celebrate also the feast day of St. Luke the Evangelist, called by Christ to record Christ's life and ministry, to bring Christ's message of hope, peace, and new life to not only the Jewish people, but to the Gentiles or the non-Jewish world as well. As St. Luke says in his Gospel, the disciples are sent on missions along dangerous roads as were the North American martyrs. They are to greet no one on the way, Luke says, and they are to travel light, relying on the hospitality of those they encounter. But even this hospitality is fraught with danger. When they enter a house, St. Luke says, they must quickly discern if their host, is a peaceable person. For most of us today, the principal dangers of discipleship are a bit more subtle. We are surrounded by wolves who traffic in political fear-mongering, in conspiracy theories, and harsh partisanship, and ideological tribalism. As lambs sent into such a perilous territory, we must become genuine seekers of the truth. We follow the one who resisted aligning himself with any of the political or religious parties of his time. He led his followers to the deep down truth of our world through parables, prayer, and humility, through acts of wonder, healing, and mercy. His way meant engaging those who might seem threatening or foreign: prostitutes, lepers, tax collectors. You and I are sent as lambs among the wolves of a death-dealing and death-avoiding culture. As lambs, we confront these death-dealing powers by following the one who absorbed the fearful violence of the world into his very body in order to expose its ultimate powerlessness. As lambs, we respond to our culture's avoidance of death by living in the paschal logic of Christian discipleship. Before the wolves of this world, we give living testimony of the strange truth that the fullness of life and the fullness of joy promised to us comes only as we embrace the reality of death, the narrow road to resurrected life, both today and in the life to come. The North American martyrs, especially St. Noel Chabanal, whom we honor today, as well as St. Luke the Evangelist, gave testimony to that strange but sacred and life-giving truth that by sacrificing their lives, they understood and believed so much in it. What an eloquent and what a powerful example they have given. And it is their priceless legacy to each one of us.